like to discuss to you about our topic, which is the cognitive development of infants and toddlers.
Substage 1, simple reflexes. This is from birth to 1 month. Coordination of sensation and action through reflexive behaviors. There are 3 primary reflexes presented by Piaget. The first one is sucking of objects in the mouth. So, babies love to suck objects or put it in their mouth if the object is in their hands. The second one is moving or interesting objects with eyes. Babies love to explore or see everything with their eyes, especially if it is colorful. The third one is closing of hand when an object makes contact with the palm. Well, even our hands, if you put it on the baby's palm, they will immediately close it and feel what object it is. First, habits and primary circular reactions. This is from 1 to 4 months. It involves coordinating sensation and new skills. During this stage, infants are focused almost exclusively on their own bodies and are repeated over and over again. Infants also begin to refine their reflexes and combine into more complex actions. Secondary circular reactions. This is from 4 to 8 months. In this stage, infants become more subject-oriented, moving beyond self-preoccupation, repeat actions that brings into interesting or pleasurable results. This stage is associated primarily with the development of coordination between vision and apprehension. Coordination of reaction stage, secondary circular, from 8 to 12 months. Coordination of vision and hand-touch eye of schemas intentionally. This stage is associated primarily with development of logic and the coordination between means and ends. This is the extremely important stage of development, holding what Piaget, the first proper intelligence, according to him. Also, this stage marks the beginning of good orientation, the deliberate planning of steps to meet an objective. The action performed is directed towards a goal. Tertiary circular reactions, novelty, and curiosity. This is from 12 to 18 months. Infants become more intrigued by the many properties of objects and by the many things that they can make happen to objects. They love to experiment with new behavior. This stage is associated primarily with the discovery of new means to meet new goals. Piaget describes the child at this juncture as the young scientist conducting pseudo-experiments to discover new methods of meeting challenges. In the tertiary circular reactions, novelty, and curiosity, toddlers became more curious about the things that they might see. They love to explore and try new things, especially if the things or habit caught their attention.
Internalization of schemes, where invention of new means through mental combination of a child from 18 to 24 months. In here, infants develop the ability to use primitive symbols and form and enduring mental representations. This stage is associated primarily with the beginnings of insight or true creativity of a child. This marks the passage into the pre-operational stage, where evidence of an internal representational system and symbolizing the problem-solving sequence before actually responding.
So what is a sensory motor stage? Sensory motor stage is the first of the four stages that Piaget uses to define cognitive development. So Piaget designates the first 2 years of the infant's life as the sensory motor stage. So during this period, infants are busy discovering the relationships between their bodies and the environment. So researchers have discovered that the infants have relatively well developed sensory abilities. So the child relies on seeing, touching, sucking, and feeling, and also using their senses to learn things about themselves and also the environment. So Piaget called this as the sensory motor stage. It is because the early manifestation of intelligence that appear from sensory perceptions and motor activities. So here are Piaget's substages. Substages are termed circular because the adaptive behavior of the world involves repeated action. So these are circular reactions that are attempts to repeat an event that the baby likes. Primary circular reactions are oriented towards the infant's own body, whereas the second circular reaction are aimed towards the environment, including others. So for example, the baby accidentally gets her thumb into her mouth, but she doesn't know how to do it again. So it's like the baby entered the stage of experimenting, wherein she attempts on having her thumb get to her mouth again by waving her waving her arms across her mouth until eventually she succeeded, and she gradually learns how to do it at will. So it's kind of a reflexive, and it suddenly became more intentional. So next is the secondary circular reactions. These are repetitive actions involved in recreating events which 4 to 10 months old babies observe outside their own bodies. So a perfect example of this, it is when a baby trying to move their mobile crib by shaking or kicking them by their legs. Next is the tertiary circular reactions. It can be seen from approximately 10 to 18 months old babies. It is when a baby does things over and over again, but just a little different in each time. So Piaget described this stage as the scientist. It is because, for example, a baby seems to enjoy dropping the spoon over and over again, but in different ways. So this is just a proof that it is a novel creation of variations in many events.
Learning and remembering. Does the infant learn and remember? Yes. All of us experience infantile amnesia, the inability to recall events that happened when we were very young, according to Spear 1979. We can remember little things or somehow nothing that has happened to us before the age of about 5 years, and it is extremely rare for someone to recall many memories before being. Language development. Within the first years of life, the children's first language acquisition seems to progress in the following stages. First is the pre-talking stage or cooing. Second is the babbling stage. Third, holoplastic stage. Fourth, the two-word stage, and the last one is the telegraphic stage. We should talk about first the pre-talking stage or the cooing stage, which is from 0 to 6 months. According to Bollinger 2002, 283, pre-talking stage or cooing is all about the vowel-like sound responding to human sounds, more definitely turn heads. Eyes seem to search for speaker, occasionally some chuckling sounds. Just like for example, if the infant will say the sound ah, ah. The second one is the bubbling stage, which is from 6 months to 8 months. Bubbling is the sounds which infants produce a consonant-vowel combinations, according to Steinberg 2003, 147. Just like for example, if the infant will say ma, 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 da, 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 ba, 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 na, na, na. The third one is the holophrastic stage, which is from 9 to 18 months. According to Franklin 1983, 328, defined holophrastic from holo, which means complete or undivided, plus the word phrase, which means phrase or sentence. It is the children's first single word which represent to a sentence. Just like for example, if the infant will say food, which means give me a food. Or another one, if the infant will say milk, or it will mean as I want a milk, or I want to drink a milk. The fourth stage is the two-word stage from 18 months to 24 months. The two-word stage is the mini sentences with simple semantic relations. Just like for example, more milk. That means that the baby will ask for more milk. Then the other example is the cat sleep, which means the baby saw that the cat is sleeping. The fifth stage is the telegraphic stage, which is from 24 months to 30 months. Telegraphic is a merely descriptive term because the child does not deliberately leave out the non-content words, as does an adult sending a telegram, according to Franklin 1983, 313. Just like for example, mommy eat carrot. He is playing ball with. In this telegraphic stage, the infant will now definitely say the complete sentence or the complete thought they want to speak with. Language acquisition device or LAD. According to Noam Chomsky in 1965 and 1972, a noted linguist claims that humans have an innate language acquisition device, or what we call LAD. It is a metaphorical organ that is responsible for language learning. Language acquisition device means that an infant has an innate knowledge.
What infants and toddlers can do cognitively. Infants and toddlers are born ready to learn. They learn through cuddling with a caregiver, listening to language, experimenting with sounds, moving their bodies, reaching for objects, tasting foods, and exploring their environments. Their brains go through amazing changes during the first 3 years of their lives. In the first year, babies learn to focus their vision, reach out, explore, and learn about the things that are around them. Cognitive or brain development means the learning process of memory, language, thinking, and reasoning. Learning language is more than making sounds or babble, or saying mama and dada. Listening, understanding, and knowing the names of people and things are all part of language development. The way parents cuddle, hold, and play with their baby will set the basis for how they will interact with them and others. During this stage, babies also are developing bonds of love and trust with their parents and others as part of social and emotional development. In 0 to 6 months, watches primarily caregiver intently as she speaks to him or her. In 7 to 12 months, they intend to understand no points to family members when asked to do so. 13 to 18 months, points to 5 body parts on himself or herself when asked to do so, and follow one-step instructions without needs for gestures. In 19 to 24 months, points to 5 named pictures or objects when asked to do so. Pre-reading and pre-matching. The child is able to match identical objects, colors, shapes, and symbols. For 7 to 12 months, they are able to match 2 identical objects. Examples: 2 balls or 2 spoons. In 19 to 24 months, they can match identical objects. They can also match identical pictures. In pre-reading and pre-math rote sequencing, the child is able to recite the alphabet and numbers in sequence. For 19 to 24 months, counts from 1 to 5 with errors, gaps, or prompts.
Hello, mom and classmate. This is my discussion. Domain: cognitive development, attention, and activity level. The child is able to sustain attention and modulate his activity at age-expected level. For example, 0 to 6 months old baby can start doing rattle and dangling toys. From 7 to 12 months old baby starts to examine properties of toys for several minutes by handling this. From 13 to 18 months old baby, they may be distracted but responds when made to refocus, resist interruption while engaged in play. So for higher ordered mental abilities, concept information. The child develop basic concepts pertaining to object constancy, space, time, quantity, seriation, and so on, and uses these as the basis for understanding how materials are categorized in his or her environment. For example, 0 to 6 months old baby experiments with new objects or toys, banging and putting them into their mouths, or starting to look for the object falls into its own direction. From 7 to 12 months old, baby looks for partial hidden objects or look for completely hidden objects. And for higher ordered mental abilities, cause and effect relationships, the child is able to understand cause and effects relationship. For example, 0 to 6 months old baby starts to act as an object to achieve the objectives. 7 to 12 months old baby starts to use some object to get something he or she wants.
Ask why questions. In this stage, a child is already curious in a lot of things. They will already keep asking, why do they have to do that? why is it important to do that? Like, understands reasons behind the daily practices. For example, washing hands before and after meal. They will ask you, why do they have to wash their hands? Also, understands reasons behind safety and rules practices at home. For example, why they must not play fire at home. They will ask you why we should not play fire at home, and you will answer them what is the reason behind why do they must not play fire at home. And the other one also knows where to return most of his or her things. In this stage, a child already knows his or her things and where his or her things belong. Memory for experiences or episodic memory. In this stage, the child is able to recall he or she has met, events and places he or she has been to. In this stage, a child can already remember a lot of things, just like people that she has already met and places that he or she has been to already. Stages 0 to 6 months. Child reacts like smiling and acknowledging of someone he or she has met several times but who does not live in his or her home. Or a child can already acknowledge someone she met a lot of times although it does not live in his or her home. Stages 13 to 18 months. Child reacts like smiling in recognition of a familiar places beside his or her home. Or a child can already recognize some familiar places that she has been to aside from his or her home. In stages 19 to 24 months, child is brought somewhere and correctly recalls having been there before, or a child can already remember places that she has been to.
Memory for concept-based knowledge, semantic memory. The child is able to store verbal information in short and long-term memory. Just like, for example, they can hum a recognizable tune such as la 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 la, ba 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 ba. And the other one is they can memorize some gestures of action song such as clappings and the close open. The next one is the higher ordered mental abilities, which there are three types. The first one is the logical reasoning. The child is able to follow the logic of events and draw accurate conclusion by evaluating the facts presented to him. The child will able to count 1, 2, 3, the sequence of counting the numbers. And the other one is they can identify the color of object. The second one of the higher ordered mental abilities is the planning and organizing. The child is able to plan and organize simple, familiar activity. They can organize things such as from clean to the messy one. And the other one is they have the thinking to plan what should be the goal for their future. They are enjoying for planning, just like being a teacher. I want to be a doctor. And the last one of the higher ordered mental abilities is the creative thought. The child is able to generate new ideas or concepts or new associations between existing ideas or concepts. The child will able to enjoy constructing objects out of manipulative toys such as blocks, clays, sand, and paper. By the use of blocks, they can build
buildings. By the use of clay, they can enjoy forming another objects such as a house, a tree, and a lot more. The next one is the use of toys or objects as symbols in play. Just like, for example, they can pretend the plastic bottle or the empty milk can as a drum.